Welcome to the commentary booth where we watch and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator Jamie Apps, and each week I'm joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week we're reviewing the Super Mario Bros. Movie, so I'm joined by the only logical choice for the episode. Welcome to the show, the host of the House of Mario, Drew Agnew.
G'day, how you going, Jamie? Thank you very much for having me on the show.
My pleasure. There was only really one option to jump in and record this one with me.
Yeah, it suits quite well. I'm a big Nintendo fan, so, big opportunity when a Mario movie comes out. It's been the first time in over 25 years, so let's make the most of it.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's almost 30 years to the month or something, I believe. Something like that.
It's been that long, has it? Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, the first movie came out before I was born, I believe. So, yeah, I've only watched that one, just making fun of it type of thing. This one was a little bit different. Yeah, actually paid money to go and watch this one. Didn't pay money for the last one. I know that. I found it on the dregs of the internet somewhere.
Yep. This one was worth the money, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we dive into our sort of deeper review, Drew, do you want to introduce yourself, the House of Mario, and sort of tell our audience a little bit about what your favorite movie and TV show are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do a Nintendo podcast called The House of Mario. It's about all things Nintendo, not just Mario, but obviously the Mario franchise is a big part of what Nintendo is. It's within their DNA, so that comes up quite a lot. And we talk about everything from the latest games to classic games to the latest news. Have a bunch of fun doing it along the way, and been really looking forward to this movie. It's just really cool to see Nintendo just in a completely different light. But as far as my favorite movie and TV show, TV shows, I enjoy like a lot of like comedy stuff, like Scrubs. Really enjoyed that, but just recently, The Last of Us. Really enjoyed The Last of Us. One of my favorite games. Oh. So seeing that as a TV show was absolutely fantastic. I know you covered each episode one by one on this very show, so that was great to see. And favorite movie would be The Greatest Showman. I really love that movie. That moved me quite a lot back in 2017. I went to the cinema to go and see that, and I cried, actually. I cried. Just watching it. I really loved that movie. It's such a great musical with Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron, and just an amazing cast and amazing soundtrack. Just I still listen to it to this day, just on Apple Music all the time.
Yep. Yeah, good choices, and what a time for game fans with adaptations at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. We've had not a great run, but I think two of my favorite games have got an absolutely fantastic representation for a brand new audience that will hopefully get to sit down and enjoy them just as much as me.
Yep. So on to the movie, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, 2023 computer animated adventure based on the Nintendo Mario franchise, and really Nintendo as a whole. Like, watching this felt like an absolute love letter to Nintendo as a whole.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's why I liked it so much, and I'm not sure what somebody else who isn't familiar with all of that lore and all that would get out of it, because I think it comes down to being like a very family-friendly kids movie, whereas a lot of that would just be sort of over everyone's head. And the story you're left with is, your typical Mario story where you've got to try and, defeat Bowser, which, isn't like the strongest premise for a story, but it's more about the adventure and how you get there, I think. But I guess just before we start too, like, what's your history with like the Mario series? Where are you coming at this movie from?
So I'm not like a hardcore dedicated Nintendo player like yourself, but I have been playing Mario. Mario was the first ever game I played. So we had the NES with the old cartridge. Plug that in. Played
Nice, yeah.
the Mario 1. Played that, and then we got the Super Nintendo, and I got the cartridge with like 3 or 4 Mario games on it.
Oh, Mario All Stars, yeah.
Yeah,
One of the
that
best
one. So
compilations.
I played through a bunch of the different ones there, and then I kind of dropped off because we didn't get the GameCube. We switched over to the PlayStation.
Like everyone did. Yep.
Yep. But then I came back to it with the Switch, the Odyssey. Mario Odyssey was my reintroduction to Mario and the much more sort of open world Mario format.
Yeah, nice. And enjoyed that one?
Oh, yeah. I loved it. I played through it all, collected almost all of the stars. I think there were a few where I was like, I cannot for the life of me work out how I need to get up there.
Yeah, some of them were a bit tricky. Some was just right in your face, and other ones were like, all right, I need a guide or, a little bit of help. This is a bit too obtuse for my little brain to work out what you want me to do.
Yep. So, and then sort of going into this movie, what were you thinking after seeing sort of those first trailers and I guess even before that, seeing this cast list?
Yeah, the cast list was funny, but before we get there, I was just hoping for just seeing the Mario world just fully animated, just brought to life on the big screen, and I didn't really have too many expectations because when it comes to movies and that, I kind of grab my popcorn, grab my Maltesers, my large Coke, and I just want to be entertained. I don't think about them a whole lot. I've got a friend who basically is a film buff, and I'm like, yeah, that was a good movie, and he'll say, no, that was awful. So I'm pretty easy to satisfy when it comes to movies. So when it came to Mario, I think all I wanted was to see a bunch of Easter eggs, see what Mario's like on the big screen, and that was largely what we got. But like with the casting, it was funny because when we got the first information, all of the characters in the Mushroom Kingdom, they don't have voices. Charles Martinet, he just go woohoo, yeah, like he makes those types of sounds, but there's no fully voice acted roles within the Mushroom Kingdom. So it was interesting once we got sort of information that Chris Pratt was playing the lead role as Mario, and all of the other cast members were cast as well. And it was after watching the movie and hearing a lot of sort of the criticism for maybe some of the voice actors. I think like especially Chris Pratt. I think a lot of people owe him an apology. He did a fantastic job as Mario, and when I was watching the movie, I never thought, I can hear Chris Pratt, or I feel like this is Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm seeing Mario on the screen. There was sort of none of that, and I think that's pretty impressive. But I guess, yeah, what did you think of all the casting, and what expectations did you have for the movie?
So yeah, when we first got that casting list at the Nintendo Direct, I believe was the first time we saw it, I was very anti Chris Pratt. I was expecting that to be my big hang up for the movie, and there were definitely still moments where I heard the Chris Pratt voice come through, but I did enjoy the way that they quickly sort of were a little bit self-deprecating and gave us a reason for him not having the very stereotypical Italian Charles Martinet accent. So
yeah,
I think by dispelling that issue quite quickly, that let me sort of just absorb it and take in the movie for what it was, rather than constantly be thinking, why is he not speaking with an Italian accent?
Yeah, because it would have been maybe a little bit much if it's all right, just do what Charles Martinet does, because he is just so good at what he does for that particular voice and bringing that character to life in the video games. And Charles Martinet, he started his role with Super Mario 64, and that was a Nintendo 64 game that didn't have the memory on the cartridge to fit in like fully voiced lines, so it was very much just doing the voice for the triple jumps, the long jumps, the wall jumps, and all that to sort of bring that into the gameplay. And just to copy that and do it as like full sentences, yeah, just wouldn't have worked. So what they did here was really good. And even at the start of the movie, they did do, a bit of a joke, just straight off the bat, just to sort of, haha, for us big Nintendo fans. But won't say what that was. But I think anybody watching it would have got a bit of a laugh out of that.
Yep. And I think too, if they had sort of gone, yeah, Chris, do a stereotypical Italian accent for the entire movie in sort of the modern day, I don't know how well that would have gone down as well. So I'm glad they just quickly pushed that aside. I'm like, okay, this is what this movie is.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have gone down too well. And even just regardless of that, it would have got, grating just with like the full energy that Mario brings, just doing his full line. So yeah, I think they all did a great job. Jack Black as well. And Jack Black was probably the one character where I could just hear Jack Black, but that's fine. I really enjoyed Jack Black. And seeing his voice come out of Bowser, and even like some of the very Jack Black things he's known for, just basically coming out of Bowser, where expect from like School of Rock or something. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. It got a laugh out of me, and it's almost like a fourth wall thing, just like you're laughing at the fact that it's coming out of that particular actor rather than like the character Bowser himself. So there's a lot of sort of jokes you can laugh at just because you're a Mario fan or a fan of like the certain actors. But I don't have out of any other movies because I've never been such a fan of maybe a series that I've been watching as a movie. But
Of the cast, I think the two people that really stood out to me as giving fantastic performances were Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach. I thought her performance was fantastic, and she just made the character incredibly charming, and you wanted to see her succeed, which I thought was perfect for that character. Absolutely. And Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong was again also tremendously funny and endearing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think this movie could have been like the Super Princess Peach movie too, in some ways, if you like move some scenes around, because she was just an absolutely massive part of the story, which is great to see. It would have been a little bit weird how they set up the story with Bowser's intentions if Peach was just I guess you have to find me in the castle. It sort of worked because she was such a strong character. She was the leader of the Toads at the Mushroom Kingdom. And it was cool to see her in that different light. We have had a couple of RPG games from the Mario series where Peach has more involvement, and maybe in Super Mario 3D World where you're able to play as Princess Peach. But a lot of the time, especially in the early Super Nintendo era, where we are just going from castle to castle trying to find Princess Peach, and at the end we get a bit of a kiss on the cheek for a job well done, and that's the character. It was nice to see like the major first outing, just absolutely fantastic showing just for a female character. It was awesome.
Yeah, on that sort of plot twist that they did, I did like that they sort of shifted it away from, okay, Peach has been kidnapped and now Mario is just going, like you said, from castle to castle trying to find her. I did like that they switched it and made it a cast of characters rather than Mario going along this journey and just sort of encountering sort of Toad and Donkey Kong and Peach at the very end. Like, we actually got to spend time with all these characters and get to know them a little bit more as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess Luigi filled that role for this movie. Got to go and save Luigi, and it's about the brotherly love, which I found was like really cool. Because typically Luigi gets the short end of the stick, just being the coward, being the unpopular one, and Mario just sort of basks in the light. Just, yes, I am the chosen one. And even like some of the RPG games, they the writing team have an absolute ball with Luigi, just making him like the punching bag a lot of the time. Especially like there's a game on the Game Boy Advance, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, where they don't even say his name. They just refer him to like the Green Man and the Tall Boy, and just silly things like that, which is funny.
Yeah, from my memory, Luigi was always just like the secondary character that if you did like co-op or something in some of the games, he was just like the guy that whoever your little brother or someone got to play as Luigi, and that was it.
Yeah, like in the first Mario game, it was just Mario with green overalls, and eventually became his own character. But I think Charlie Day did an absolutely fantastic job as Luigi, and Luigi was a highlight as well. Just really showing off some of the different sort of environments in the movie as well, harkening back to the Luigi Mansion games where we saw the more spooky dark lands within the movie, seeing the dry bones chasing Luigi throughout the environment, the Shy Guys kidnapping him, and the interaction between Luigi and Bowser was really fun and interesting. So I think Luigi brought like a lot of love and heart to the movie too.
Yeah, the whole Luigi storyline, I think that sort of left so much there as potential for, like, I imagine this movie is going to be incredibly successful and make an insane amount of money. So I think that's left a lot of potential for perhaps the sequel to be a Luigi's Mansion like spin-off movie rather than just a straight continuation of the story.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think Charlie Day said it would be great to have a Luigi's Mansion movie. And of course he'll say that because that would be a nice paycheck if he could be the main character of his own movie and keep the franchise going. It'd be good job security. But apart from having good job security for Charlie Day, that would be awesome because I think like when it comes to like Nintendo games, like Luigi's Mansion is probably the game that shows the most characteristics and sort of emotions from Luigi. Now we've got the movie, we've got like a lot of the character interactions between Mario and Luigi, Peach, Donkey Kong, and all that. I think that was really cool. But it would be cool to get a Luigi's Mansion movie. But if we don't, we still got like a nice moment in this movie where he's just scared shitless and surrounded by hordes and hordes of enemies, which is cool. I think what was really cool too is just as like character interactions, that character interactions between like Mario and Donkey Kong. I thought that was really cool because they started off as enemies, and in more like recent games, Donkey Kong's like a good character. You're playing as him in Donkey Kong Country, playing as him in Mario Kart and all that. He's just become like a good guy, but in this, they hate each other and they're having like that back and forth, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, I guess in like Mario's sort of debut outing before he even became Mario, he was just kind of the player's character going up against Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong was the main character in that game. So
yeah.
It is cool to sort of see that growth in them in this movie as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. It's just Seth Rogen, we did get the laugh, which was good. The Seth Rogen laugh coming from Donkey Kong. So he did it that many times. Every time I did it got like a chuckle out of me in the theater. And I was in the cinema. There was actually a school rocked up, like with maybe like 7-year-old kids, and I was probably laughing at it more than they were. So
it's like the one adult sitting in the theater with a whole school.
Yeah, no, there was a few of us, but yeah,
yes.
I was trying to be well behaved, show them be a good role model.
In terms of like my reaction to the movie overall, like I remember just sitting there watching this movie and just like I had this goofy smile on my face like through the entirety of the movie. I just couldn't stop smiling, even though like we mentioned, the plot is pretty thin once you sort of break it down, but just like we said, the love letter to Nintendo, I was just constantly smiling at something happening on the screen.
Yeah. What you said about the plot is just very thin, and I like I said before, I could see somebody just watching it as a family film, just no association with Nintendo or video games or anything like that, and just watching it. There is no sort of side to it that an adult would enjoy if you're not a game fan or a Nintendo fan, which I could see maybe why the critics rated it like they did. They're just like, I'm watching this film and Bowser's doing his thing, and they, the plot progresses and the thing happens, and that was sort of it. But for us, or even like people who are just mad on this stuff like I am, and played every game and really enjoyed the series throughout the years, every little interaction on screen, like the music just mixes with it just so well, and you can like point out like this is that moment in that game, and you can see what's happening on screen, and that might only last for 5 seconds, and you're on to the next thing where there's a certain power up on screen. It's from a very specific game in a very specific moment, and the music just kicks in for that. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. It's just like hearing all the music. The music was probably one of the highlights for the movie for me as a big Nintendo fan, and Mario music's so iconic, not just the main theme, but everything from like Mario Galaxy, Mario Sunshine, Mario 64. It's all very distinct and noticeable. So when you're able to listen to it as you're watching the film, I think it's just really, really special. I think that's why so many people are really enjoying it. Like on my Twitter timeline, everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's so good!" But the Rotten Tomatoes score isn't necessarily reflecting that, because it might not, appeal to other people. But I'm glad that much love and attention went into those details instead of it being for nobody, where it might have just turned into a so-so family movie because they weren't trying to appeal to the people that have been playing Mario for a long time. And it's sort of a bit of a tightrope, I guess, to try and walk, make sure you're at least pleasing someone. But I think for the most part, it's a good family film, even if you haven't got that association.
Yeah, like I think kids are going to love this because, like you said, it's super fast paced. It doesn't linger on anything for excessive amounts of time. It is just constantly rolling. There's always something happening, something bright and flashy to see. And with the music, I loved the mixture of the classic Nintendo songs and music with like 80s rock and pop music as well. I thought that was a really cool that was play on nostalgia without being like ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it felt a little bit strange in some ways, but I really enjoyed it. Like a lot of the songs I really liked anyway. So, but it's just so weird. I guess from somebody who's been playing the games, just when you hear like this, like just very popular song just playing to like Mario, but I really liked it. Yeah, that was great. Just like the fast sections, and when they're in like the go-karts and the music's kicking in, you're like, oh yeah, like it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And what did you think of the animation style? I thought it was fantastic. Like the amount of detail in even like the opening scene when we get the close up of the was it like the penguin guys, and we see like the individual feathers and stuff on them. I was like, wow, they're going all out on this movie.
Yeah, I think this was Illumination's biggest budget that they've ever put into one of their movies, so I guess it will make sense that it will look so good. But yeah, the movie looks absolutely amazing, and apart from the initial sort of looks at like the characters, where Mario and Luigi and Peach and that, they look like a fair bit different to what you expect in the games. So that was a little bit jarring in some ways, but of course it grew over time. They look really cool. I like the way they look, how they're so small compared to a lot of the other characters as well. Once you actually see them in the movie, which is quite funny, like a play on eventually getting the power ups and becoming bigger. But yeah, the movie was absolutely gorgeous, and is exactly what I wanted from a Mario movie. Just seeing those environments just brought to life. Because typically on Nintendo hardware, they run Nintendo games quite well, but they're never like the power of like a PlayStation or an Xbox. So you're not going to see just the worlds just brought to life just in these just real vibrant ways. So the movie just did it so well. In the Mushroom Kingdom, you're seeing like all the toads doing their own thing, just like constantly looking around for like Easter eggs, seeing what's going on. You could just see Easter eggs all over the screen, as far as just callbacks to other Nintendo games or other Mario games. It was really nice, but absolutely gorgeous. I really liked it.
Yeah, and you get the really good lighting as well. Like you're getting the sun rays and the water effects. I thought it was so well done.
Yeah, I'm looking at the mushrooms and I'm like, you sort of just want to like just poke it, like would you
Yeah,
think go
they look
into it?
squishy.
Is it leathery? Like, what texture we're doing here, and all like the power ups Mario gets with like this was in the trailer, so the cat suit, for example. You just want to sort of pat him. Looks so furry in that. And watching the credits, I see there's like a dedicated team of 3 people for like, I forgot exactly what they call it, but it was like the fur, development for the fur or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I can imagine not just 3 people going around every single frame of the movie, but all right, let's fluff this thing up.
Yeah,
But they did a great job. It's all around.
Yeah, I can't praise the animation work enough. I thought that team did a phenomenal job. What did you think of the twist on Mario 2 with playing off those power-ups, needing to eat mushrooms, and him as an Italian man hating mushrooms?
Yeah, no, that was funny because I think, yeah, when you're going into a film, you're sort of just thinking like, all right, how are these going to work in a more, obviously not a realistic setting, but a more realistic setting where it isn't just going to be a mushroom sliding along the ground. You run into it, just go bloop, bloop, bloop. Like, we've got to have a bit of animation. Does he just sort of just absorb it when he picks it up? Does he eat it? Does he whatever? But he does indeed eat it, and it was funny that, yeah, they did play on the whole thing. Well, I don't like eating mushrooms. He's like, oh, I've got to eat this because I need to overcome this challenge and get the power from it. But yeah, even like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of mushrooms myself, but if I could get that type of power from a mushroom, I wouldn't have hesitated anywhere near the amount Mario did in this movie. I would have gulped it down and ate it straight away. I guess it's also a little bit strange how, like, they are normal human beings. They're coming from Brooklyn. They're just like sucked into this world, but they didn't know existed, but they're getting these power ups. It's very, could be like drugs or steroids. I don't know. There's no hesitation there. I don't know what Mario's stance is on drugs or anything like that, but it's obviously not too strong. He's more than happy to do it when a nice, pretty blonde chick comes along. It's like, hey, take this, mate. It's like, all right.
Yeah, he's like a kid just being handed a lolly on the street. Like, here, eat this. Like, okay.
Yeah,
I think this
I don't
movie
like lollies,
proves
but
that
I guess I'll try and eat it.
this kind of proves that Mario's stance on performance-enhancing drugs is yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's. Who knows what the conversations are going to be in some political circles in the upcoming days? Or this movie's bloody teaching our kids about this. It's like, well, maybe. Who knows? Maybe it does need to be banned from everybody under 25. No, I don't think so. I think it's just a good amount of fun.
Yeah, I guess we could spin it to it's either promoting drug use or it's promoting eating vegetables. Eat your vegetables.
Yeah, eating vegetables will make you super. Yeah, make you grow nice and strong. And that's what I got to tell my son when he's a little bit older. He doesn't mind his vegetables, but he definitely prefers salty things.
And then what did you think of the way the movie sort of wove in the gameplay elements as well, in terms of like the platforming and using those power-ups throughout to overcome some challenges?
Yeah, so sort of every single like animation, you can sort of like point to a particular game, and just like obviously a mixture through the music and the sound effects. But like when Mario's running, he puts his arms sort of like by his side and his hands back a little bit. That's like a run from Mario World when you get a run up just before you're about to take off with the cape. And also in Mario 3 and like the wall jumps you can see from Mario 64. There's a lot of references that you can see from the moveset in Super Smash Brothers in the Donkey Kong scene where he's jumping around the rafters and he does like a punch down, which is, anybody who's played Super Smash Brothers, that's his down spike, his side A, which you can see. So even just like all the small things just in his movement, you can sort of point towards different games, which I think was really cool. It was a lot of fun just to be like, see like his different moves that he's pulling off, and you can see like how they're bringing this story to life in some ways, because like Mario, especially in the early games, it is just like a platforming game. So how do you make this into like a movie that's going to take your attention for 90 minutes? But I think they did a great job, and it was just another sort of way to put in the references for a big old man fan like me to sort of froth over in some ways.
Yeah, I loved in the like very early on when we got the perspective shift and we went into the sort of side scrolling platforming as they were running through the city before they got to the warp pipe. As soon as that happened, I was like, okay, yep.
Oh yeah.
Where this is a faithful interpretation of the game.
Yeah, it makes you, oh, where's the controller? I got to get my thumbs on the sticks before something happens. But it's a movie. I can relax. But yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, just like when that's happening, my eyes are just going around the screen. It's like, oh, what's the name of that shop? Is that a reference? Is like, what's going on here? Yeah, no, that was really cool.
It's definitely a movie I want to go and rewatch when it arrives at home, so I can really focus in on moments. And if I need to go backwards and forwards, I can do that. That'll be such a fun experience as well.
Yeah, if the first time I watched it was on Blu-ray, I would have just been pausing. Just, wait a minute, was that? Oh, okay. So maybe it's a good thing I watched it at the cinema. But yeah, I really want to go back to the movies and watch it there too, just to see if I can pick up on anything else. And it's just to make most of it while it's in the cinemas, just with like the big screen and all that. Because I think it's just such an attack on my senses. I think that's like the main thing I got out of the movie was just like a love letter to Nintendo and the music and just the visuals. I just want to just take that in at the cinema again. So we'll see if I get time though.
And I loved the introduction of the warp pipe too, and like you said, the faithful adaptation of the music and the noises and everything. I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah, because there's been other sort of adaptations of video games that have just completely missed the mark. I think like the more recent one would be like the Halo show, would just like I forgot who it was, but one of the leads on that series, like, I never played the games, I don't care, I'm making my own thing, and they just like, what are you thinking? Like, what are you doing? Like, and if someone was like that in charge of the Mario film, it's like, look, we're not doing those silly sounds. It's like some of the most iconic sounds in entertainment. I think you might might want to use them. So yeah, I think it was very important that they used all of those sound effects and that. And what you said about the warp pipes, it was cool just to see what it looks like in the warp pipes. Because in 3D Land, 3D World on the Wii U, we saw that they basically made all the warp pipes see-through, and we did see the see-through warp pipes in this movie. And that was, but before then, that was our closest sort of look at what the warp pipes are like when Mario's going through them. So this one where it's like he's going through a portal, essentially, just going through the time and space continuum just until he gets to the Mushroom Kingdom was interesting. But who knows? If you pick apart the lore too much, you'll probably go insane. I think when it comes to Mario, I think you just take it as you see it.
Yeah. You mentioned there like the actors and stuff not having knowledge of the games. I think that's fine if an actor doesn't necessarily play the games and sort of they don't want to influence.
Oh yeah, of course.
Their portrayal of a thing, but the person heading up the adaptation, I feel like they need to be a hardcore fan, like we saw with The Last of Us. Bella Ramsey and Pedro hadn't necessarily played the entirety of the games, but the creators, Mazin and Druckmann, they were like hardcore into it, obviously being the original creator and just a big fan. So I think as long as there is someone in charge that is directing it that way, it's fine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If I said the actors, I apologize. But yeah, I think like the writers and the producers or whoever, someone needs to be like, all right, this is the material we're coming from, and we've already got an audience who potentially will really enjoy this product. So let's just try and bring them in, and also bring in a new audience of people that don't want to spend $300 on a video game system and $80 on a brand new game. There's a fair bit of buy-in when it comes to games. When it comes to like a movie, if it looks interesting, $20 at the movies or $15 down the road on a Blu-ray. it's a lot more easier to buy into it and become a fan that way. So I think it is sort of important, but yeah, I think the Halo one was just so disappointing. So it's nice to see that that series that personally I care about more, being Mario and The Last of Us. I'm just relieved they got a good treatment compared to some others out there.
Yeah, like you already have this hardcore, dedicated audience. There's no need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. Just I guess there's a fair bit to reinvent when it comes to Mario to make it be like, all right, we need to make him talk, we need to do a bit more story, we need to do this and that. But as far as everything else goes, I think it's a winning formula for a family movie.
Yep. And then, so a few spoilers. So for people that haven't watched it, we're going to get into post-credit stuff now, and then I want to go through some of the Easter eggs. And I noticed a bunch, but I'm sure you noticed many, many more than me. So if you haven't seen the movie, now's the time to switch off. But if you are happy to hear spoilers, here we go.
You might want to listen to them so you can recognize them in the movie when you watch it.
Yep. So in terms of the credit moments, what did you think of the Bowser singing mid-credit and then the Yoshi egg post-credit?
Yeah, so the one in the middle with Bowser doing his piano medley, and just then you see that he's small still and locked in the cage. I think it was funny, got a laugh out of people, and I was trying to watch it. There was the school at the time, they were organising all the kids, getting them out. So I'm just sat in the cinema just watching watching Bowser just being picked up by the tail and chucked around or whatever. So yeah, whatever. And everybody left. It was just me and the cleaning lady in the cinema, and I'm sat there just because I'm listening to the music, and I just want to just sort of look at all the names and see how many people are involved with the movie and seeing what's going on. I was just interested in that. And I had no idea there's going to be an end credit scene at the very end, because the credits are very long and we already had a post-credit scene. So I wasn't expecting another one. So we get to the very end and I'm sat in there, the lights are on, and I'm like, oh shit, there's some more movie, all right. And I was literally the only one. Everybody else left. And it's just a Yoshi egg, and Yoshi goes, oh! And that's it. So I guess they're like, all right, this movie will probably make enough money, and that's a bit of a hint that the next Mario movie is going to involve Yoshi. So, I mean, Yoshi is probably, if not my favorite Mario character. So that'd be great to see more of them in the movie. We did see Yoshi in the movie, like a big tribe of them, sort of, running when there's a bit of a montage of them going on their adventure, going through different environments. And that was really cool in some ways, because that was a callback to Super Smash Bros. Melee. In the opening sort of scene for that game, that's one of the scenes for that. Just a big tribe of Yoshi just running. So that was really cool. So that was one of the moments for that. But there's no real hint for it. It's not like a Marvel movie where they're like, all right, this is the next phase. We're announcing the next movie necessarily. It's just a little bit of a tease. We'll probably get more. I dare say this movie's going to make a fair bit of money. It would have been crazy if, I don't know, to really go, oh my God, if there was a Master Sword just in the middle of a forest or something. That would have been whoa, what is happening here type of thing. But, there's going to be a Yoshi egg, and Mario's going to ride him, and they're going to use him to defeat, I don't know, Wart from...
maybe a Wario or something as well.
Oh my God. I would love to see Wario. I never even thought about Wario in the movie. That would be awesome. Fully voiced and everything.
Yeah, we could do Mario and Luigi versus Wario and Waluigi.
That would be an awesome movie. Yes, that is what I want to see. 100%. Just because Waluigi, he never gets any love outside of the Mario sports games. He's never been in a mainline Mario game. I've always wanted an RPG where you play as Wario and Waluigi, similar to Mario and Luigi in the RPG game. So that'd be really cool. But yeah, having those, what would Wario would be like? You could imagine like Spike from the movie, being the antagonist at the start, with the Mario Brothers leaving his company, the Wrecking Crew, to do their own business. You can imagine him becoming like the Wario character, being like that big buff sort of antagonist, sort of for the next movie. That'd be funny. I don't know. I don't know if at the end he had his redemption, being like the coward and having the Mario Brothers save him. I don't know if that was enough to make him be on their side, but yeah, I don't know. Just had a bit of speculation when you said Wario, because that would be funny. That would actually be pretty funny. My brain's just sort of trying to figure out what he would sound like, because to me he's just like wah ha 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 Wario, but that's about it. That's all. That's all it is.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be shocked to see a bunch more movies, because like I said, they left a lot on the table. So we could either do a continuation and have Mario and Luigi and Peach and their whole team fighting someone else, or we could spin it off and do Donkey Kong, spin it off and do Luigi's Mansion. Obviously, the post credit suggests Yoshi's going to be involved at some point, so there's so much potential for future Nintendo movies. And like you said, I think a Zelda movie could be amazing as well.
Oh my god!
Maybe
Zelda
we
actually
build
has a
towards
story
that
as well. Yeah, like I think a lot of people are like, what if we got a build up to like a Super Smash Brothers movie, which is the equivalent to like the first Avengers movie, where it was Iron Man, Hulk, etc., building up to the first Avengers movie. What if we got a movie that was like an accomplishment of just all of these movies coming together? As a Nintendo fan, that would be amazing, but it'll be hard to pull off as well. Like, does Illumination have what it takes to just have the storytelling chops to bring it all together throughout these different series? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. And it'll be interesting for the next movie too. Will we see sort of a bit more story? We got the sort of the hype and excitement of seeing Mario on the big screen. The next movie, we'll have a few more expectations for the actual movie itself, and it won't just be, oh look, there's Easter eggs, there's this, there's that. All right, now it's time to like tell us a story with a bit more meat on the bone.
Yeah, they can't come back with another really thin plot. They're going to have to expand the world and the lore and give us something a bit more fully fleshed out.
Yeah, and maybe they'll just be like, look, it's Yoshi. I'm like, oh, this movie's great. I love Yoshi. Maybe. Oh, there's a red one.
In terms of the Easter eggs, quite a few that I noticed was the big one, the Charles Martinet cameo. I thought that was so good. I'm so glad that he got to shine in this movie as well.
Yeah, and just how they did it as well. It was just so well done when it was like just the Mario Brothers putting on the accent for their ad that they're running, just like, with real poor green screen, and, it's just chucked together, and they were very proud of it. And they're sort of working out, was it a bit too much? Then the character, which is obviously playing off the original Mario being Jumpman from Donkey Kong, being like, no, this is perfect, or, whatever he said, I can't quite remember, but I thought that was just really well done, and especially with like all the concerns going into the movie as well, which we discussed at the start of the show, being like, oh look, is Chris Pratt going to be just doing the Italian accent the whole time? And when the movie starts, you're like, oh, is he? Oh Jesus, all right, I guess he's doing it. But then straight away, it's like, no, that was put on. That was a bit too much.
Yep. And
especially with like the actual voice of Mario being right there to be a part of that joke. It was just done so well. And I don't think that could have... That was just a perfect start just to the movie itself. Just even having the Super Mario Super Show intro being like the ad as well.
Yep.
Being like, we're the Mario Brothers. I can't remember, but...
the rap.
That was really cool as well.
And I think as soon as I heard Charles's voice, I was like, okay, they're going all in. This is going to be a very, very faithful adaptation. So that quelled a lot of my fears as well instantly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think another one was just like all of the sort of, I guess, shout outs to previous NES games.
Hmm.
With like the company that they left, like the Wrecking Crew, that was a Nintendo Entertainment System game.
Yep.
And like the cafe was Punch Out Cafe or
Punch Out Pizza.
something like that. Punch Out Pizza, was it? Yeah. So that
Yep.
that was cool. And there's another scene when like Mario gets upset, goes to his room, which was strange as well. Like he's going to his room. Like how old is this? How old
Yeah.
is Mario? Is he
He's running his
like, I
own
don't know.
plumbing business, but he still has his own room at home.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, save money. Brooklyn's probably expensive, I guess. So you gotta make it work. And family likes to keep you there to bully you, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why you stay there with a dad who says you can't do shit, but
Mhm.
what are you going to do? But he goes up to his room and plays Kid Icarus, which is another Nintendo Entertainment System game and one that I actually really like. So it was cool to see that there. Yeah, that was just there's a bunch in there.
Yeah, so
it was sort of yeah.
I,
What are some more you have?
I wrote down a list. We get the mention of blowing into the antique cartridge in the Mushroom Kingdom, and I chuckled at that one because I remember those
Oh,
NES
yeah,
days where you just had to pull it out and blow in the cartridge, and suddenly it worked. Okay.
yeah. It's so strange because it's actually bad for the cartridges too. Apparently, it's like you're putting moisture into it.
yeah,
So, yeah, we're all responsible for it.
that makes sense.
Don't
Everyone
worry,
did it though.
I am too, but oh yeah, absolutely, it works. So
Then we had when they tried to get into Princess Peach's castle the first time. We got the classic. Oh, the princess is in another castle line, which again made me laugh and smile.
Mm.
Like you said, we got the herd of different colored Yoshis. Then when we had the Mario Kart moment, we had them using the drift boost, the like you said, the ground pound move as well.
yeah,
We
yeah,
saw
yeah. The especially like the seeing the Mario Kart aspect in the games was or in the movie. Sorry, was really cool. And like the moment when they're selecting their parts for their car, just like you do in
yes.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and it's got
Yep.
like the music playing as well. That was unreal. It's just like putting like simple menu music into the movie when they're like selecting the car. It's like just it takes you to just playing Mario Kart yourself.
And the fact that they didn't just suddenly have a car, like they got to go through and select the different designs to get their particular cart. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah,
And we got to see the green shell and the blue shell, which I loved as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
The blue shell,
we
the suicide bomber. Bloody hell.
we got the Tanuki suit Mario, which was very cool. We mentioned Punch Out Pizza. We had the mention of Jumpman as well. The original name for Mario before he became Mario. We got the remix of the Star music, and the another big one that I saw was in the wedding scene. The wedding outfit that Bowser is wearing is the wedding outfit from Mario Odyssey.
Yeah. That was the aspect of the movie I might have liked the least. It's just like Bowser's motivation for wanting to marry Princess Peach. I'm like, oh, this is weird. And I'm like, wait a minute, this was the storyline of Mario Odyssey, wasn't it? I'm like, yeah, right. Because it's been a long time since I played it. I haven't played it for probably 5 years or so, like only a little bit after it came out. So that was a little bit strange. I think it's because it was like the fully voice acted sort of movie setting where it's like, oh, I want to marry Peaches. Oh, Peaches, Peaches, Peaches. I'm like, it's a little bit cringe. It made me cringe a little bit. It's probably my least favorite part of the movie, to be honest with you. But I'm able to disconnect enough to about whatever. Who cares?
Yep.
But yeah, it's a little bit weird.
And then as I was researching for this episode, there was a few others that were listed out. Like you mentioned, the rap was taken from the 1989 Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Spike was the foreman in the Wrecking Crew game. Mario's ringtone was the startup sound of the GameCube.
Yeah.
which that one went
Which is
over my
really
head
cool.
because I didn't
I was
have the
waiting
benefit.
Yeah, I was waiting because it goes doom. I was waiting for the doom, and it never happened. I'm like, oh, like
You would have been
just like the bit where it
devastated.
finishes, the cherry on top. Oh, yeah, it's like it's just I guess it's a ringtone doesn't end.
Yep.
Just needs to loop continuously, so I can't do the end bit.
And then as Mario was walking through the town, one of the shops in the background was called the Sunshine Travel Agency, using the Super Mario Sunshine font.
Okay, yep. I don't know if I got that one. I can't remember that one.
There was a restaurant in Brooklyn called Chess or Canard, which translates to duck hunt.
Oh, okay, yep.
You mentioned Mario playing Kid Icarus, but sitting on top of Mario's TV was a Star Fox Airwing model as well.
Oh, cool, yep.
And then in the background, Mario's room is just filled with a bunch. In the background, there was the golf and tennis NES box art, and then the
Definitely
last
a scene
couple
you want
were
to pause it on, isn't it? Yeah.
yes, because there's just Nintendo and Mario stuff everywhere. And we already mentioned
because my eyes were just drawn to the TV when I was watching Pit just jump around on the screen. I'm like, oh. So yeah, I think I even missed the R-Wing. I don't know if I saw the R-Wing when I was watching that scene.
Mm-hmm. And then we already mentioned the nods to Luigi's Mansion. And then there was the Luma character from Super Mario Galaxy, who had a much bigger part than I expected.
Yeah, what did you think of that character? I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Just a very matter of fact, very negative, bringing everyone else down. Everyone's just like, "Oh, shut up," like that type of thing. Like, we're already depressed enough. I thought it was absolutely hilarious every time it sort of came on screen.
It was a very dark character to insert into a very kid-friendly movie up until that point.
Yeah, there's a couple of scenes like the Luigi section with he's been chased by the dry bones. It's like, oh, you can see that being pretty scary for a kid. And then like I was like, we're all gonna die. It's like, Jesus, where did that come from?
Yep. Yeah. So overall, I thought it was fantastic though, and at the time of recording this episode, we're only a day after release, so there's obviously no box office yet, but they are projecting $125 million across 5 days in the US and a further 100 million internationally. So yeah, there's no published budget for this as well. So that's an interesting thing. We might get that later, but yeah, at the moment, if they make $225 million in 5 days, I can almost assure people we will get a sequel.
Oh, 100%. I think it's going to do well enough to get another movie, but I don't follow like box office sales and that as closely as someone like yourself. So how would that compare to like other big movies? Is that like, oh wow, this is a huge movie, or is it just like a pretty medium movie, or
that's pretty high, I believe.
Pretty high, yeah. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money to me. I wouldn't complain if I got a bit that much cash out of a movie I made, but.
So, Avengers Endgame made $357 million in its opening weekend. And that's the all-time record. So
absolutely, yeah.
The next two after
that is very good.
Spider-Man No Way Home at 260 and Avengers Infinity War at 257 and Star Wars Episode 7, 248, and Episode 8 made 220. So it's in. If it makes 250, it'll be the fourth overall record holder.
Wow. Okay, that puts it into perspective. If it gets there.
Yep.
Up in Star Wars ranks, bloody hell.
Yep.
Yeah.
So even if it only makes 200, it's in the top 10.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it's like just 100 million, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, I think
Then is it?
100 million would put it in the top 100, top 70 actually, of all time.
Yeah, and that's lowballing it quite a bit by the sounds of their projections. So,
Yep.
okay.
I think.
Well,
Where is it? Anything over
yeah.
150 puts it in the top 26, 25.
Okay.
Which is
Yeah. Oh, I hope it is successful. I hope it sort of shows that other companies can put a bit of effort in and, you know, not just sort of jump on the trend of like, oh, video games, they're the hot thing. Let's adapt it to a movie. Like, you know, really show it some love, and, you know, the fans of the franchise will sort of come out, support it, and tell their friends, and more people can jump on it that way. Because yeah, I think it is showing that is the way to go. You know, The Last of Us was just so well received, and so many more people jumped onto it and had subscriptions, and I think the Mario movie's the same way. So hopefully we see more from Nintendo and Sony and other companies, and we see a lot more of this, because yeah, I'm just my heart's so warm just from yesterday. I think it was a very much needed movie on my behalf, just to sit there and enjoy it. It wasn't the big sort of just story that makes you think about what you've done in your life, and it's no Interstellar. It's, you know, it's just a nice sit back and take in the senses, and
yeah, it's a
know,
good
you'll feel
like
better at the end of the movie.
Weekend, go to the movies, just eat some popcorn and enjoy your time. And I think it'll work well for Nintendo. Like, this is obviously, like we've seen with every game adaptation, this is going to feed back into more game sales. And my personal hope is that those poor critical responses don't sort of dampen the success of this. I hope it's those personal reactions to people like yourself and me watching this and coming out of it and raving about it from a personal fan perspective that encourage others to go, okay, well, fans seem to like it, I should go and check it out.
Yeah. When it comes to like critic reviews too, it's also always a little bit strange, because I feel like the critics are always reviewing kids' movies as
Highbrow cinema.
movies to entertain them. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's hard for an adult to like sit there and like, all right, would a kid enjoy this? Because you can't really. You can think back to when you're a kid and what movies you enjoyed when you were 5 or 10 or whatever milestone you're at, but it is sort of a strange thing. I mean, like, oh, look, you know, it just, there was no story, there was none of this. But as far as just like, haha, there was a, you know, Donkey Kong did this, it was funny, and Mario fell over here, and the kids enjoy it, and that's kind of what it needs to be. Not to say that kids aren't smart and that they don't need any substance to their media, but I do find like a lot of things I enjoyed as a kid, you know, they didn't review that well, just purely because, yeah, I think adults might have been a little bit out of touch in some ways, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I look back on it and I used to love like the Power Rangers shows and the Power Rangers movies, and you go back and you look at those now and you're like, oh, these are so cheesy and not good at all on a film perspective, but they were entertaining, and that's really all you want for. That's always my goal out of going to the cinemas. I just want to have fun and be entertained. Like, yes, there are movies where I want that elevated story, like The Whale. Like, that's a movie that I want that elevated story and a bit more depth. But Mario, I knew what I was going in for, and I thought it hit down the park.
Yeah, absolutely. You got different expectations for different movies and different stories that they can tell. So, you know, and like I said before, I'm the type of person that just goes into a movie and watches and goes, that was fun. And for the most part, don't think about it too much outside of that. But apart from, you know, some very specific movies where maybe Star Wars in particular, where I'm like, what did they do to the trilogy? What was that last trilogy? What happened? What did they? Yeah, where did it go wrong?
They broke that one.
But yeah, I think so. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I could have done a better job, and I know nothing about anything. But Christ, what did you? I know that's different. That's a different podcast, isn't it? But
So
yeah, for the most part, I just sit there with my popcorn and eat my Coke, and I'm like, that was all right, and walk out.
oh, we all good. That just went all
Oh,
funky then.
Yeah, if it froze
Yep.
there a little bit, but
So in closing, if you were to give this movie a rating out of 5, where would you fall for the Super Mario Brothers movie?
all right. Very personal to me. You've heard me talk about it. I think for me, it'd be like a 4 out of 5. For somebody like me who just like really loves Nintendo and games and Mario, obviously in particular, I think this is you're going to love the movie. A lot of people that listen to my show, The House of Mario, that have been talking in our Discord, absolutely love the movie for all the same reasons that I'm talking about it now. Just absolutely fantastic. But I think it probably could be on a different scale just for your normal parent or kid who's just like, oh, look, I just want a fun time. I think a lot of the references and Easter eggs that I really enjoyed seeing and hearing and watching would just go over someone's head, and you're just left with the story of this turtle wanting to marry this princess, and this normal dude has to save the Mushroom Kingdom. It probably doesn't have that much on the bone for someone like that. So it's probably maybe an easy pass. You could probably watch any other Illumination movie and just, to pass the time, to be honest with you. But I think if you want to, experience just the Mario world, I think this movie's a great place to do that, enjoy that. And, if you play a couple of games, maybe after watching the movie and you come back to it, you might have a different sort of opinion on the movie, just from playing a game or two, which would be pretty cool. If anybody watches the movie even decides to pick up a game, that would be really interesting to hear if there's any conversion from a brand new audience picking it up. But yeah, personally for me, just a 4 out of 5, really enjoyed it. There probably isn't too much more that I would have liked to see from it, from the very first Nintendo movie, apart from just maybe a bit more compelling story. But it is an Illumination movie. It is a kids movie. So yeah, there was no expectations for that going into it. Just as long as I had my Coke and my popcorn and my Maltesers, that's what I needed.
Yeah, see, I went into this with very low expectations just because we've seen horrible adaptations before. But because of that, I felt this absolutely hit it out of the park and nailed it. As long as you go in knowing that, yes, it is a Nintendo kids movie. It's not going to have this really strong, compelling story. It's going to be pretty surface level. But as a Nintendo fan, I thought it was fantastic with the reference and stuff. So I went a full-on 5 for this one because I loved it. I walked out of that cinema just smiling like an idiot. Like, I would have loved to just have a camera on myself whilst watching that movie because I would look like a fool the whole time.
Yeah, just do a Super Mario Bros. Movie reacts. No copyright, don't post the movie, but just you just sitting in the cinema just
looking like an idiot.
It's just for an hour and a half. Just watch it on YouTube. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I felt the same way. I just, when it comes to like doing 5 out of 5, if I go over a 4, I really like, I've got to like have like no problems with it if I'm going over 4.
Yep.
Just personally, I don't know if that's how that review scale works.
No, that's fair.
But yeah, just a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I hope everyone enjoys it if you haven't watched it yet. And if you haven't, well, I guess we spoiled some things, but I don't think there's too much to spoil. I think you sort of know where it's going to go, but it's just the stuff along the way. Like, what are we going to see? What references would we have seen? But I don't think you can ruin it too much unless you actually see the clip. Somebody posting it on Twitter or YouTube.
Yeah, I feel like the
trailers.
The trailer gave away a lot.
Yeah, I would have liked to see no trailers, but you just can't help yourself, can you? It's like a brand new trailer. It's like, well, I don't want to see it. I want to see it in person.
Yep.
And there were actually a few things moved around in the trailers too. Then, like when you watch them in the movie, you're like, huh.
Yep.
Like when Mario goes like, "What is this place?" Like he's not in the Mushroom Kingdom like he was in the trailer when he said that. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And I know they do that in movies quite a bit, but
they are doing that a lot more
to
recently.
the trailers. Yeah. Yeah, I never pay that much attention to movie trailers apart from this one.
Yep. Alrighty. Thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow Drew on Twitter and YouTube at iDrewby. And you can follow me on social media at JamYapsMedia and at Pario Magazine. Thank you so much for jumping on the show, Drew, and good luck with the House of Mario over the rest of this year.
No, well, thank you very much. Absolute pleasure to jump on and have a chat with you, Jamie. It's nice to meet you, and hope everybody has a fantastic day and enjoy some movies and video games.
The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/Jamie Apps Media. The following people supported at the publisher level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support.